Hello friends, we are Digital World Computer and today we will learn about tables. Tables are basic unit of storage data. Table can be created at any time, even when user are using the database. You do not need to specify the size of a table. The size is ultimately defined by the amount of space allocated to the database as a whole. It is important, however, to estimate how much space a table will use over a time. Table structure can be modified online. In this lesson, you are introduced to the DDL, Data Definition Language statements. You are taught the basics of the table like create, alter and remove. We also learn constraints and foreign key statements in this chapter. Now we learn about tables naming rule. So these are the naming rules for creating a table. Table names or column names. It must begin with a letter. Only alphabet is allowed in the naming rule and it must be 1 to 30 characters long, not more than 30 and non-minimum than 1. And it must contain only A to Z, capital, small a to z, 0 to 9, underscore, dollar and hash sign. It must not be duplicate the name of another project owned by the same user, and must not be an Oracle server reserved word. Next, now we learn the create table statement. How to create a table? This is a syntax of creating a table. Create table schema dot table column data type default express. So we seen this create table statement on the practical way. Like we have a command line interface and we want to create a table. So we edit a command that is create table, and next we create a table name that is employee copy 2, and we must give the data types. Here we take employee ID, employee ID is number type and the number is 10, and here we executed the query. Now we want to create another table and we want to use the default data type, and here we have a table and we want to create it. Create table employee 3, and here we have a employee ID that is this, and we want to give a hire date. We extend the column and it is date type, and we use the default and we give it sysdate. Sysdate is the system date, and we have two columns. First is employee ID, that is number type, and second is hire date. This is a date type and default is sysdate. And here we are executing the query and the table is created. The next is we want to check the both of the tables we created. First we created the employee copy 2 and second we created employee copy 3. So we want to describe the table. Describe employee copy 2, and here we have employee ID that is number type. Next we have to describe employee copy 3, and here we have the employee ID and the hire date. As we created the both of the tables, we defined through the create table, that is a DDL command, and we created through employee copy 2 and employee copy 3. Next, if we want to select the table, select star from table name. Employee copy, and here we get null because we didn't insert any row in the employee copy 2 table. But if we connect through the another user, connect sys as sysdba, and we entered the password, and here we connected, and if we want to using the query select star from employee copy 2, it gives error. Here you can see, because in the sys user there is no table that is accessible employee copy 2. But if we want to, here you can see also a problem. When we connect it to the sys user, here we get select star from employee copy 2, and this gives error table or view doesn't exist, because this table employee copy 2 table is doesn't exist in sysdb table. So if we want to view the table through the another user, we can use the command through the schema. Here we can run through, because this table is belongs to HR schema, so we use select star from HR dot employee copy 2. Here we can access the table, and it gives no row selected, because there is no data in the employee copy 2 table, but it exists in HR schema, so it will give the output that no row selected. The next is, now we discuss the data types. We can use data types while creating a table, like we uses varchar 2, a variable length character size, and its size is minimum is 1 and the maximum is 4000. Here we can also write the data size. The next is character, char. It is a fixed length character data, and it's having 1 to 2000. The next is number. Here P stands for precision. The precision stands for total number of decimal digits, and its length is to 1 to 30. Where S is stand to scale, S stands for right of the decimal point, and it having -84 to 127. The next is date. It uses for date and time value. It having 1 January 4712 BC to 31 December 9999 AD. Next is long. Long is variable length character data, and it have up to 2 GB. The next is row ID. The next is silo. and it is stored the character data up to 4 GB. Row is basically used for storing the binary data, and it is having up to 2000 character, and having the long row. Long row is also storing the binary data, but its length is increasing from 2000 to 4000. The next is blob, binary data up to 4 GB. Next is bfile. Bfile is also used for storing the binary data in external file, and it is also up to 4 GB. Row ID, it is a base 64 number system representing unique address of a row in its table, and it is flexible in storage type. Here we have also date time data types. The first is timestamp, internal year to months, interval day to seconds. And here timestamps is storing the date with fractional seconds. Interval year to months stored as interval of year and months, and day to seconds stored as interval of days, hours, minutes, and in seconds. Now we read the constraints. The constraints are the set of rules that will enforce on particular column. The constraints is two types. First is column level constraints, and second is table level constraints. Constraints enforce roles. Constraints prevent the deletion of a table if there are dependencies. If there a table have any foreign key and we want to delete the table, then it gives an error because table is dependent to the another table. In the constraint types, the valid 5 constraints are not null, unique, primary key, foreign key, and check. The first is not null. The not null constraint stands for the table or column hasn't have any null value. It means it doesn't have the null value. The next is unique. Unique, it doesn't insert duplicate value but also can insert a null value. Primary key is must be unique and not null value. Foreign key establish parent child relationship between two columns in the table and in other table, in a single table or in another table. Next is check create condition either it is true or false. These constraints we are discussed through practical in the short of time. Now we will learn the condition. First we create a table through not null constraint. Here we have to create a table, that is create table employee copy for, and here we give employee ID. Employee ID is number type and it having 10, and it is not null. Not null is the constraints in the employee ID column. Here we created a table and which is not null. When we describe the table, it gives that null value is not null. It means when we insert the any data in the employee copy for table, the data is having not null in the employee ID. So we insert the data. Here we insert the another table in the employee copy 4, that is 102. Now we want to using the value null. It gives error because null value is not allowed through the constraints. Here you can see it gives error that it cannot insert null because we use this constraint that are having the not null value. So whenever we want to use the null data in the employee copy 4 table, it gives error. While we inserted any other value, it inserted. Here you can see if we want to check the data, we can use the select command, select star Here you can see we inserted the 101, 102 and 103 data in the employees copy 4 table, while when we inserted the null value it doesn't inserted because it we uses the constant that is not null type, so it rejected the data that is the null value, that having the null value. The next constraint we are using, that is unique. So we clear the screen. Here and we want to use the unique constraint type example. Here we write another query, that is create table employee ID number 6, last name varchar 2 which is not null, email varchar 2 20 and constraint is email emp email uk, it is unique. Here when we use the email varchar 2, we write the constraint is this and the constraint name is employee email uk unique. Here you can see the query. Here this is the unique key. Here we use a table create table employee ID number 6, last name varchar 2 is having not null value, email is varchar 2 and we give the constraint that is the column constraint and constraint name is employee copy UK, and this is the constraint name. And which shows the constraint type that is unique. So it means the employee table having a email column which is unique. So we want to execute the data, and so here we have the query and we executed the query on the command line prompt. Here it gives that name already used by an existing constraint because we already have this constraint, so we change here, we change this US UK constraint here, and we cannot create the same name constraint again and again because constraint is also indicating and addressing the table's value. Now we create a table that is the employee table and we having the constraint types. Now we want to insert the table. We insert the data into employee table which are having employee ID, last name, email, and values is employee ID is 1200, last name is single, and email is abc@gmail.com, and here we inserted. And again we want to insert it through 201, and here we write Lochan again, and we inserted this same email again, and it gives error because we saves the constraint that is unique in the table employee table, and so it gives error because unique constraint is violated. Here you can see when we uses or violated the constraint, it gives error like this, and this is the Oracle error number. While we crack or break the any constraint type in the table, so it gives an error like this. So we inserted the data in the table, we changed the data and uniqueness in the table. So here when we see the data here, it shows unique whenever we use in the email column. Here you can see the employee table having the unique emails. The next is primary key. Primary key is having a not null and a unique key combination in it. While we creating a table, we give the constraint that is using the primary key, and it has having a unique key and a not null value itself. So we creating a table here, a create table my employee ID number 6, constraint is having this and a primary key, first name varchar2, and we change pkps, it is the constraint name, and we executing table is created. When we see to describe this my employee table, you can see the employee ID is not null because it is a primary key, and we want to insert any duplicate data, it gives error because primary key also having the value of uniqueness. So we can say the primary key is having not null and unique quality both. The next we taught is foreign key. Foreign key is used to relate or combine the relation between the tables. A foreign key having
now we
a
will
parent-child
see the
relationship
foreign key
between
example.
the tables. We create a table that is employee, and we have employee ID, last name, email, salary, and hire date. The next we want to use department ID, constraints, and constraint is employee ID, that is the constraint name, and references to the department table. Here we have the department ID of employee table. You can see the through this example where whenever we want to create a table, we have this is the create table command for employees. Next we have to create a constraint. This is a constraint with the constraint name, and it references to the department table. It denotes to department table. And next we have department ID. This is the column name for this department. It means we want to use the foreign key from the employee table to the department table. Now we executing this example into the command line prompt. Here we have to create a table that is employee. We use create table command, create table employee ID number, and the next column is department ID, which is also a number, and we write a constraint that is a column constraint, and the name is employee department ID fk, which is references to the another table, that is departments, and having the focus on department ID column in this get table. So here we uses it and we created the table. It means we create a table that is belongs to employee and it has two columns, and the department ID column is belongs to the department table, which is belong to department ID. So how can we check? So we drop the table employee here. It means the table which is a parent can be deleted, but we cannot delete the child reference to the another table because it has referenced by the another table. Like we can learn this. This is the parent table and this is the child table, and this is connected through foreign key. So we cannot delete the child because it reference to parent, but we cannot we can delete, we can drop it, we can use drop command on the parent. It can be deleted in the foreign key because parent can be using the delete command, but child cannot because it has the reference of parent. So here we complete the foreign key. Next, here we created another table, that is create table employee ID number 6, and next we have salary number 10. Constraint is employee salary ck, and we uses the check sign here. Check salary is greater than 0. We cannot insert the value is less than 0, or we cannot we can also use it the salary is greater than 100, and we create the table. When we inserted the data, insert into employee table, employee ID and salary. Values is 101 and 1000. Here we inserted one row inserted, and when we insert a row is 100, it gives error because we uses the constraint salary is greater than 100, and here it gives error because we uses the check constraint in this and it is violated through this. Here we can insert it that because 101 is greater than 100, so we can inserted this row through this, and we can also check the data. Select star from employees table. So you can see this, we have the employee ID is salary and salary is greater than 100 because we uses the check constraint, and we declared the salary is greater than 100.